This is Homelink 10-1, Old-Fashioned Equivalencies for Grade 3 Everyday Math. Family note. Here is a page from a 3rd grade math book published in 1897. These are the kinds of measurement problems children were expected to do more than 100 years ago. The rod is a unit that is not often used today. It was used to measure land. Solve the problems yourself. Write your answers on the slate. And a slate is an old kind of chalkboard. Alright, so we're going to take a look at this and see what they're asking. So it gives all the equivalencies over here. So this box is going to be really a key box to use when you do this work, because you're going to have to convert inches to feet, feet to yards, or feet to rods even, and yards to rods, and rods to a mile. So just to read off this equivalency chart, there's 12 inches in a foot, 3 feet in a yard, 16.5 feet in a rod, 5.5 yards in a rod, and 320 rods in 1 mile. So how many inches are there in 5 feet? Well, we're going to use some multiplication for this, and we'll say, I would suggest when you do this you have some scrap paper handy so that you can do the multiplication out. So how many inches are there in 5 feet? It's going to be 12 inches times 5 feet, and that equals 60. And we write the answer right here. 60 inches in 5 feet. How about 8 feet? Well, that's going to be 12 inches times 8 feet, and that equals 96. So it should be 96 inches right there. How many yards are there in 27 feet? You have to divide. So 27 divided by 3 is going to be 9. 36 divided by 3 will be 12. And then 51 divided by 3, I think is 17. Divided by 3. And then, yep, 17. 17 yards. Alright, and then how many feet are there in 2 rods? So we see in 1 rod is 16.5 feet. Okay, so how many feet are there in 2? So it's going to be 16.5 times 2. Alright, well 16 times 2 is 32, plus 1/2 times 2, which is 1. So it's 33 feet in 2 rods. Okay, how many feet are in 2 yards? So we have to look up here. We see 1 yard is 3 feet, so 2 yards will be 6 feet. Okay, and in 4 yards, 4 times 3 is 12. 12 feet. Okay, number 4. How many rods are there in 33 feet? So if we have 33 feet, and we know that each rod is 16.5 feet, okay, we know that there are 2 rods in 33 feet, because that's 33 divided by 2. 33 divided by 16.5 equals 2. How about in 66 feet? Well, that's going to be double the number. That I know. So if there are 2 in 33 feet, there are going to be 4 in 66 feet. And then if I add on another 33, I get to 99. So that's 2 plus 4, which is going to equal 6 rods altogether. So, what part of a yard is 1.5 feet? What part of a yard is 1.5 feet? 1.5 feet is going to be 1/2 of a yard. It's going to be 1/2 of a yard because there are 3 feet in 1 yard. What part of a mile is 1 rod? Well, if we look up here, we see that 1 mile is 320 rods. So that means that 1 rod, what part of a mile is 1 rod? That means that 1 rod is going to be 1/320th of a mile. Alright? Because there are 320 of them in 1 mile. How about 40 rods? Well, that would be 40 320ths. Okay, and 80, that would be 80 out of 320, and 160, that would be 160 out of 320. Alright, and it's a little bit tricky for what we usually do, but we can simplify these down, actually, and that's going to be 1/8. This will be 1/4, and this would be 1/2 of a mile. Alright, because we would cross these zeros out and then just divide it until we get to these fractional parts. But if you just put 1 over 320, 40 over 320, then that's the basic understanding of what part of a mile is the 1 rod, 40 rods, 80 rods, and 160 rods. Alright, and then last, how many inches are there in 7.5 feet? So for these, and for each of these, we actually have to multiply. So 7.5 feet, I'm going to multiply the whole number first, and I'm going to say 12 times 7, that's 84, plus a half a foot I know is 6 inches, so it's going to be plus 6. 84 plus 6 is going to be 90 inches. 12 2/3 of a foot, well, we already figured out 12, no, we didn't figure that out. Okay, 12 feet times 12 inches, alright, that equals 144 inches, so that's the whole number, plus 2/3 of a foot, so you have to think, well, 2/3 of a foot, how many inches is that? Well, 1/3 of a foot is 8 inches, so 1/3 of a foot is 4 inches, so 2/3 of a foot is going to be 8 inches. 144 plus 8 is going to equal 152. 152 inches, and then 9 3/4 of a foot. So that's going to be 12 times 9 for how many inches it is. And that's going to equal 12 times 9 is 108. Okay, and then plus 3/4 of a foot. Well, 1/4 of a foot is 3 inches. 2/4, which is a half a foot, is 6 inches. 3/4 of a foot is 9 inches. So the total would be 117 inches. So these were some very tricky problems, as you can see. But those are the types of conversions that children had to do in a 3rd grade math book in 1897. Alright, so it's kind of interesting to look at and make some comparisons. But that's how we do those kinds of conversions. We have to multiply or divide and figure out how it works. So this is Homelink 10.1 Old-Fashioned Equivalencies for grade 3 Everyday Math.